Hi everyone, welcome to Debbie's Designs. We're going to stamp with some new products today from the annual catalog. I'm just going to give everybody a few seconds to join in. I can see everybody coming on. Welcome everyone. So last night I gave you guys 4 choices for stamp sets. Hi Kim, how are you? I showed you varied vases, accented blooms, abstract impressions, and peaceful reflections. And the winner, it was such a close voting process. You guys wouldn't believe how close. The winner is accented blooms. What I did is 7 o'clock this morning a.m. Eastern time, I looked at all the votes and accented blooms came in at 8 votes. And then look how close everybody was. So that was kind of neat that you guys all liked all 4 of the stamp sets. So this is the card we're going to create tonight. I'm going to show you how to do some selective coloring. And I'm also going to show you how I sanded the embossing on the background. So let's get started with the supplies that we need. So again, the stamp set is accented blooms. Hi Sue, hi Kim, hi Kathy, hi Gloria. Okay, let me get out all the supplies. So I'm using 2 returning colors tonight. Mossy Meadow. This is my scrap for my leaves, a vellum scrap for my leaves, and mint macaron. For the card base, I'm using mint macaron 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Mossy Meadow 5 1/4 by 4. This is the Tranquil Textures designer paper. I'm going to show you guys what this paper looks like in a second. This is 5 inches by 3 3/4. And then Whisper White 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Now the Tranquil Textures designer paper is a new pack that will be available on June 1st. So this is, I'm using this one right here. So look at all of these luscious colors, so neat. I'm gonna flip it over. And then these are all of the patterns. Now this is made to be paired with the, what's it called? The octopus. I've got it right here. What's the octopus one called? Sea of Textures stamp set. Okay, I'm going to put this away now. So I'm using the polka dot embossing folder. And then we have these cute little leaves. They're called leaves trinkets. I think I showed this in another video. There's 4 different leaves. We got 2 in the silver and then 2 in the copper. So we're going to use that tonight on the card. These are really cute. Okay, so let's get started. Let me just move my stuff around. Oh, I forgot to list the ink pads. Mint Macaron, Mossy Meadow, and Versamark. And then we're also using the tailored tag punch and the leaf punch. Now I wanted to show you guys a little tip that I use. This is a very bold image, as you can see. It's almost all rubber. What I normally do, and I've already done it to this one, so I'll pull the other one out. Because this is mostly all rubber, I always sand mine before I use them. It just takes off the manufacturer's, I don't know what the word is I want to use. So you can see that it turns white. I got one more spot right there. So I always sand these and then rub them with my cleaner and clean them well. They stamp better when you do that. Okay, I'm going to bring in my card base. How many of you guys were excited to see Mint Macaron and Mossy Meadow come back? I love both of these colors. And this is so much better than the Always Artichoke, I think. Okay, I'm going to glue that in place. Now, let me move all this over so I can bring the big shot. I'm going to insert my designer paper inside my polka dot. Now, when you want to sand, make sure that the logo is facing up because you want the bumps to be up. Okay, so now I don't want my bumps to disappear on me when I start sanding, and I just moved this, so let me position this back where it needs to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is sand right on top of the embossing folder because, like I said, I don't want to flatten out my bumps. And you'll see that the bumps start turning white. All of Stampin' Up's designer paper is called white core. So when you sand like that, the white core starts peeking out. And you can do this as much or as little as you want. So see how neat that is? It just gives it a nice texture. So now I'm going to glue that to my card base. For those of you that are demonstrators, it's kind of funny because we got our email today, our Tuesday email, and they actually have this technique in our Succeed Weekly. And I had already made this card, so I thought that was kind of funny. Okay, so that's what that looks like as a background. Isn't that cute? Very simple, and you can do this with any of the embossing folders. Now I'm going to bring in the Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to stamp that. Now, I did have to do this twice the first time I used it. You have to make sure that the label is straight. That's the most important part. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to let this dry a little bit because I want to do some coloring. Oh, I need this one. Now, I've already told you I sanded this just so that the ink would pick up better. Another thing that I do the first couple times that I use a bold stamp like this, I ink it with Versamark ink first because it'll make the other ink really stick to it. And it also conditions your stamp. Okay, look how nice that is. Now I'm going to bring in the punch. Oh, I got to show you something cool in the stamp set too that I just remembered. Let me dig that out. Now, when you take this big stamp out of the stamp case, this is the portion that sits in the middle. Don't throw that away. This makes a nice layering. See how it's smaller than the punch itself, so it makes a nice layering stamp. You could use this to stamp any color. So I keep that right in my stamp case. Just a little tip. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the mint macaron. I'm going to color the leaves by just using the lines from the stamped image. So I'm picking up the Mossy Meadow, and I'm just using a blender pen, a dry blender pen with no color on it. And as you can see, that picked up the green and it just gives it a light shade. Now I'm going to bring in the mint macaron, and I'm just going to add a little bit of ink. So this is called selective coloring. I'm just doing little portions of the image. I'm not coloring the whole thing. And on the flowers, all I'm coloring is the centers. And I'm just dipping my blender pen right on the ink pad. We talked about that last night in the video last night if you missed it. Okay, Marianne, when you say sand the new bold stamp, what I did is I sanded, there's ink on here, but I sanded it before I used it for the first time because there's like a manufacturer's film on the bold ones especially, and that just helps the ink to pick up, to ink the stamp better. And then the Versamark trick on top of that too. I'll do the Versamark for a while and then eventually it seasons the stamp. So you don't have to do that each time, but I'll do it like the first 3 or 4 times that I use it. Okay, that's all the coloring I'm doing on here. It's kind of a monochromatic. I wanted a lot of white to remain, so that's all the coloring I'm going to do. Hi, Kathy. Will I see you in Orlando? We are trying really hard to go to Orlando. Yes, I'm hoping. Stampin' Up, for those of you that don't realize, Stampin' Up is celebrating their 30th year, and they're having a big shindig in Orlando, Florida this year, coming up in November. Okay, so I added stamping dimensionals. It's too bad we have to cover this, but we still see some of the embossing peek out through the sides. Now I'm going to go ahead and add this leaf with a glue dot, only because when I tried to add it on this card, I added it after the fact. When I pressed on it, I made a little dent in my label there. So I'm going to do that first this time. You learn by trial and error. Hi, Jill. Lots of great tips. I always try to include tips. I've been stamping for a long time. I know that a lot of you guys are new, so I always try to give you some tips while I'm stamping. I'm glad you like that. Okay, now I'm using the leaf punch. I'm doing 1 with the vellum. And then I'm going to do 2 with the Mossy Meadow. And then we're going to glue the leaves in place. And I'm just adding glue to the stem. And I'm tucking under. And I'm leaving one of the leaves over the white so it pops up a little bit. So here's green or Mossy Meadow leaf number 2. I can't see if I added glue on that one. Nope. A little bit more. I'm going to give you guys another challenge tonight too, right when I'm done this card. Okay, so there's my 3 leaves. And then we're going to add the copper. I can't believe how quick this is coming together. And then I just kind of pop my leaves up a little bit. And that's it for this card. So for those of you that chose this stamp set to use, thanks for voting. And as you can see, there's different, the hello I used in the middle. There's also the thank you. Or you can use the smaller images and stamp directly into this portion here. I think this set is going to be very popular. Now, I wanted to show you guys the never-ending card that I did on Sunday. I did finish my card. I told you I would, so I wanted to show you how I decorated it. I ended up using the Rooted in Nature stamp set. I wanted to stick with the leaf theme. So I added, these are all die cuts, except for this one I had to hand cut. And then of course we flip. I created a little scenery up here with a cluster of leaves. Flip again, some more leaves, and then flip the 4th time. And this is the one that I left empty for somebody to add a note or sign their name. So I just wanted to show you the completed card because I told you I would finish it for you. Another thing that I finished, I worked on today, was the little color. If you remember the color coats that we used to have, this is quite a few years ago. Stampin' Up! Gave us these sheets that we could print. So I finished all those today. It has a sample of the cardstock color and then the color combinations that you can use. And then I did one for each color. And I just tied a bow here to hold them together. These are the Project Life pages. So as you can see, we got a beautiful rainbow of colors. And then we have these ones that I've cut out that we can use our own color combinations and keep track of them. So I did finish that also. And let me see what else. Okay, so tonight I'm going to give you 3 stamp sets to pick from for Thursday night, because Wednesday is my usual Design with Debbie class at 8 p.m. Eastern. So this is going to be a choice for Thursday, and I'm going to try to, the choices have to do with animals, so I want you guys to tell me which stamp set you want me to use on Thursday. This is Lily Pad Lake. And then we have Sea of Textures. And the third one is Animal Outing. So tell me which one of these you want me to use, and I'll do the same thing that I did for the card that I did tonight. I'll take the poll, and the winner will be the stamp set that I'll use. So thanks for joining me tonight. My card was really quick, but I hope you learned a couple tips that I mentioned. And I'll see you tomorrow night for Design with Debbie class. Good night, everyone.